Hello and thank you for joining me today. In this video I'm going to be doing my best to guide you down the River Severn from Atcham, just outside Shrewsbury, down to Ironbridge. I am relatively new to paddleboarding, but I've been kayaking for many years and know this stretch of the river fairly well. I've accessed the river at Atcham near the Mitten Mermaid pub. There's 2 laybys you can park in, which I've circled here, but these can fill up quickly on a summer's weekend. So if it's a possibility, getting dropped off is a good option, like I have today. Access to the river is from the south side of the B4380. Head down the path that goes over the footbridge over the river, but before you cross the river, you can take a right and follow a well-trodden path which will take you down to the riverbank. I have heard that recently the local council and the farmer have made efforts to block this path off and stop access being made here. If that is a problem, you can also access the river to the left side of that path that goes over the river. You'll have to climb over a fence, but the land appears to me not to be owned by anybody, and you can access the river under the road bridge.
Right, I'm just about pumped up here. So just before I leave, I just want to point out 2 pieces of equipment that I think are really important for a paddleboard trip down the river, apart from the paddleboard of course. The first item would be a quick release belt leash, which keeps you attached to your board, but also allows for a quick release if needed. And the second would be a PDF, a personal flotation device, sometimes known as a buoyancy aid or a life jacket.
Right, that's the safety brief done, so now it's time to get going and get out there on the water. The river is fairly high today. We are in October here, enjoying the late summer sunshine, or is that early autumn sunshine? So yeah, you can see the river is fairly high here. Normally there is a sort of gravel beach here, but that is under the water at the moment. So yeah, here we go, off down the river on our way towards Ironbridge. If you were to drive from Atcham to Ironbridge, you'd be looking at a 10-mile journey. But we're not driving, we're on the river, and this section of the river is known for its meanders, and there's a lot of them. So the total distance we're going to cover today is actually closer to 15 miles, as we pass Cressage, Buildwas, and then finally make our way into Ironbridge. Pretty much straight away as you leave Atcham, the river starts meandering. You might catch a view of the Wrekin as we make our way around these meanders, before the river turns again, and you might get a view of Atcham Church, which is strange because it feels like you're heading back to where you started. But the river soon turns again, and we head towards Wroxeter. If you fancy taking a small diversion, the River Turn joins the River Severn just before the Silver Bell Care Home. The River Turn starts in Staffordshire, makes its way past Market Drayton, and towards Attingham Park, and then finally into the River Severn here. If you want to take this detour of the River Turn, keep an eye out to the left as you round the bend just before the Silver Bell Care Home, because it'd be quite easy to miss this conversion of rivers. And then be prepared to paddle upstream. The water is quite high today, as I've said, so there was quite a flow coming down the River Turn today, which meant it was plenty deep enough to paddle in, but I really did have to put some effort in to make my way up the river. We're now heading into Attingham Park, which today is managed by the National Trust, and worth a day out if you're a National Trust member. The mansion house at the centre of Attingham Park, which I'm hoping to get a view of as I make my way up the river, was built in 1785 for the first Lord of Berwick. The house was given to the National Trust in 1947 by the 8th Lord of Berwick, Thomas. Here we come to the bridge that is part of the Attingham estate. This, when it's built, would have been part of the A5, the main road that runs from London to Holyhead, but has now been demoted to B road status as the new dual carriageway A5 has been built. Just under this bridge we're able to get a view of Attingham Hall itself and some of the beautiful park grounds in front of it. From here the River Tern heads through Attingham Park and eventually comes to a weir near Attingham Hall. I'm not sure about the access rides up here, so I'm going to turn round and head back down the River Severn, which requires no licence to paddle on, from Poole Quay in Wales all the way down to Stourport. Coming back onto the River Severn, if I just swing the camera around, you can see how quite easy it would be to miss the River Tern if you were coming down the river and didn't know it was there. See some swans over the other side on this particularly peaceful stretch of the river. So let's carry on down. A little further down the river there's another National Trust site, but this isn't some sort of grand house on parkland. This is the Ismore Coppice campground, and according to this sign it looks like you could camp here if you're doing a trip down the river, as there is access there, as you could see, as I nearly crashed into the bank there. So yeah, just want to maybe take note if you are doing a multi-day trip down the river. A possible place to camp there is Ismore Coppice. As we approach Wroxeter and pass on the right hand side this gaggle of geese, we come to the first island that we pass on this journey. I would recommend that here you keep to the right of the island, as the channel on the left is not the main one and I believe it can get quite shallow. To be honest, today I probably would have been fine because the river is high, but I still went to the right. As you finish making your way past this island, you'll come to another island almost straight away. For this one I recommend passing on the left of the island, as the right side can again get a little bit shallow. As I pass around the tip of the bigger of the two islands, I did swing round and have a look behind me and up the smaller of the channels towards the left of that island. Again, it did look fine today. I think it would have been passable with the water being so high. I also got a view of this amazing looking house. What a fantastic spot right on the riverbank, somewhere I would definitely like to live. By looking at the vegetation on the side of the island as well, you can see that recently the river has been quite a bit higher. So although the water level is high while I'm filming today, it's definitely not as high as it has been recently. Hiya, I have just passed Wroxeter. I think I'm somewhere around Atcham, and this stretch of the river, as you can see, is quite wide, quite slow flowing, very, very quiet. I think I've passed one fisherman in about the last half an hour. So yeah, lovely section of the river, absolutely beautiful, really enjoyed it. I think I've done about, check my watch, coming up to about 7.5, 8k of a total, I believe, around 18k, but I will obviously confirm that in the video details. But yeah, really enjoying it so far. It's been some lovely scenery, and the river is being kind. From Wroxeter down towards Cressage, the river takes a much straighter route. In fact, between Wroxeter and the Riverside Inn near Cressage, the river is almost dead straight apart from a couple of bends. As I make my way around the second of these bends, as I head towards the Riverside Inn, you can see an outcrop of almost solid rock on the left hand side, which forces the river to make this right hand bend.
Not far after the bend, I noticed this set of ladders going down into the river, and what appeared to be benches up on the bank. So I'm wondering if this is a regular spot that somebody uses to maybe stop for lunch on their way down the river. Certainly doesn't look like a bad place to stop to me. A little further down the river I spotted some sort of bird of prey. Couldn't tell you which one, but some sort of bird of prey definitely. If anyone has any idea what this is, if you can tell from my definitely not up to Attingham standard camera skills, please let me know in the comments. Before we get to Cressage, we need to pass the Riverside Inn. This is accessed by road by the A458, which is the road that goes between Much Wenlock and Shrewsbury. I was actually getting a little bit hungry at this point, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I can stop at the Riverside Inn. And I was hopeful as I saw quite a few docks in the distance as I approached. But be warned, there is no access to or from the river from the Riverside Inn, which is a bit of a shame really, because what a great spot this would be to stop for a drink and something to eat on your way down the river, especially on this journey between Atcham and Ironbridge, which is a fair old way. The wooden docks that I could see as I approached the Riverside Inn look to be attached to private gardens and have got signs on which clearly state that it's private property. Also a little bit further down, I don't know if you can see, straight ahead of me here is a grass bank, and I could see there was a sign there. Now as I got closer you could see there were steps that went up towards the pub, but again that sign was saying private property, no access. So quite clearly they do not want river users accessing the pub.
So I'm not far past the Riverside Inn, where they were not allowing access off the river to the pub, which is a shame because it would have been nice to have a little break and have a drink. But I do have some lunch with me and a drink, and I'm looking for somewhere to stop to eat it. But as you can see behind me, and I'll show you in front of me, the river at the moment is quite overgrown at the sides. Fairly steepish side, so yeah, I'm starving but can't find anywhere to stop right now. But hopefully, yeah, they're not too far distance. I will find somewhere to be able to have some lunch because I am very hungry.
I think I've spotted somewhere that is a possible candidate to stop for lunch. It looks a little bit steep, but definitely looks possible to be able to pull up and put my board on this little bit of grass here and pop up to that ledge up there to have some lunch.
So I've got a really nice spot here. I have to climb up that bank, but you can see behind me. Fantastic place to sit here and look at those views of the Wrekin. Beautiful. What a gorgeous spot. I'm going to sit here and have my lunch. I don't think you can ask for any more.
Apart from perhaps an all-day breakfast sandwich. And what do you know, I've got one. So there's the Wrekin looming in the distance. You get lots of different views of the Wrekin as you make your way down this section of river. Now, for those of you that aren't local, you might not know, the Wrekin was actually made by a giant. He had a grudge against the people of Shrewsbury. Or is that Shrewsbury? So he picked up a huge shovel of dirt and made his way towards Shrewsbury, with the aim of damming the river and flooding the town. On his way to the town he got tired, so stopping to have a rest he met a cobbler from Shrewsbury, who tricked the giant into thinking that he was further away from Shrewsbury than he actually was. So the giant gave up and dumped the dirt where he was, forming the Wrekin. Right, that's enough about local legends. I finished my dinner, so it's time to get back on the water. I've still got a fair few miles to go from here, and as we are in October, the nights are drawing in, so better get moving.
So we're just coming up to the bridge at Cressage. This is actually the first bridge that we're going to go under on this journey from Atcham. So there's actually no bridges between here and Atcham. We're about halfway through the journey to Ironbridge, or about 12 kilometres in. Now Cressage is actually a spot where you could get in and out, but you need to be careful because apparently the local angling club do not take too kindly to paddlers using their section of the bank to enter and exit the water. But before the bridge, if you're going downstream, on the left hand bank, there is a right of way, the Severn Valley Way. So there is a small lay-by next to the bridge that you could get dropped off in. You aren't allowed to park here, but you could stay long enough just to jump out of the car. And then opposite that lay-by, there is a gap in the fence where the Severn Valley Way heads along the river, and if you follow that you will come to the river bank and be able to access there, I'm told, with no problems. So we're coming up to Cressage Bridge now. This was actually built in 1913. I actually thought it was older than this, as it looks like a fairly old construction, but it's actually made of reinforced concrete, so it's a fairly modern style bridge, consisting of 3 arches. I would recommend you stick to the right as you go under this bridge. Maybe not the 3rd arch, but certainly to the right side of the main arch. Just because on the other side of this is where the local angling association uses for fishing. And every time I've come under here, there's always been quite a lot of fishermen on the left bank. So always good to keep out of their way and keep clear of their lines. As we leave Cressage, the river begins to meander a lot as we make our way to Buildwas. As you head round these meanders, you get a view of Leighton Hall. This was first built in the 18th century and has been remodelled quite a few times, most recently in the late 19th century. The Leighton estate own a lot of the land around these meanders, and although a lot of the gravel beaches might look quite inviting to stop on, I'm told that they don't take too kindly to people stopping on the land. These meanders, or the Buildwas Bends as they are sometimes known, take us across a floodplain, with Wenlock Edge to the south side, and the Wrekin and the surrounding hills to the north. There's a great view of this floodplain and the meanders as you travel on the road between Buildwas and Leighton. As you can see, on a nice day, you can see how the river meanders round this plain. However, when the River Severn bursts its banks, this area can look like one giant lake. As we leave the floodplain and head past Buildwas, the river changes character. The banks get steeper and the river feels more hemmed in, and there's a lot more vegetation, as you can see. Here we're entering Ironbridge Gorge, and we come to our next bridge, the Buildwas Bridge. Now this current bridge here was built in 1992 and is fairly obvious of modern construction, but there's actually been a number of bridges here over the years, the original being a medieval bridge that was destroyed in a flood in 1795. That was then replaced by a bridge designed by none other than Thomas Telford. His bridge, made out of iron forged at the Cobalt Jail foundry, lasted a little over 100 years, and another replacement was built in 1905. This bridge again had to be replaced in the early 1990s, and it was replaced with what we see here today. Just after Buildwas Bridge is another spot where you're able to access the water. You'll find 2 lay-bys on Buildwas Road where you're able to park, although these do fill up quite quickly, and make sure you do not block the gates there. From the lay-by closest to the river, you're able to access the Severn Valley Way through a gate, which then takes you down to the river bank. It's also a nice place to stop if you're carrying on down the river. It can get a little bit shallow just after that Buildwas access point, but obviously today with the river being so high I didn't have any problem at all. So here we are, carry on down the river. On the right hand side you can see the original Ironbridge power station. This started generating electricity in 1932 and carried on generating electric all the way until 1981. It actually continued to generate electricity
even after the modern power station was built alongside it in 1969. The modern power station went on until 2015, after which it was demolished, along with its signature pink cooling towers. The bridges start to come thick and fast now as we make our way through Ironbridge Gorge. This next bridge is the bridge that was built to the original Ironbridge power station to provide road access. Next up is the bridge that was built for road access for the modern power station, built in the 60s. And then on to the final bridge that we're going to pass under on this journey. This is the Albert Edward Bridge, built in 1864 and named after the then Prince of Wales. It was built to carry the Wellington and Severn Junction Railway across the river, and it was used right up until the closure of Ironbridge B power station, that's the modern power station, and it brought in coal and then later on biomass, which fueled the power station. Just under the bridge you'll find Ironbridge Rowing Club. This is also a good spot to access the river if you don't mind a little bit of a walk. You could park at one of the Coalbrookdale car parks, get your board on your back, walk through Dale End Park, and then there's easy steps here for access to the river. As I carried on past Dale End Park, I met a fellow paddleboarder coming the other way. Coalbrookdale's actually quite a good spot to park and paddle upstream from. You can make it as far as about Buildwas, where that access point was, before making your way back downriver to where your car's parked.
I'm just on the final leg of this journey. We're in Coalbrookdale, just going past Dale End Park. I am very tired, to be honest. It's been quite a long journey. The river goes quite slow through those bends at Buildwas, so there's quite a bit of hard work there. So I am glad to be coming towards the end, but really happy I've done it. Lovely journey, and I really hope that you're enjoying this video.
And that's it, our journey has come to an end, next to the Museum of the Gorge in Ironbridge. Here's this small gravel beach where you're able to access the water. There's a couple of car parks here. You've got the Wharfage car park, where there's also toilets, and Dale End car park. Both of these are both pay and display. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please do give it a like, and please do subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. I've already filmed another trip down from Ironbridge to Bridge North, so keep an eye out for that coming soon. Thank you very much for watching, and happy paddling!